Thomas Blake left work one rainy evening and was never seen again. It was a Thursday in Brookhaven, a factory town where the days blurred together and the hum of machinery was the soundtrack to life. That night, workers streamed out of the textile mill, their boots splashing in puddles, their umbrellas bowed against the storm. At exactly 7:04 p.m., Thomas Blake swiped his card, pushed through the metal gate, and disappeared into the night. The cameras caught him leaving. His silhouette moved steadily across the lot, head bent against the rain. And then nothing. No one saw him again. No taxi, no bus, no car. Just a man swallowed by the storm. For his wife, Laura, that silence became unbearable. Tom was steady as a rock, she later whispered through tears. He always came home. That night, he just vanished. At first, everyone assumed the simplest answer. A robbery, a random attack. Maybe he slipped away under debts or secrets no one knew about. But as the days turned into weeks and weeks stretched into months, the theory of a man walking away from his family collapsed. What remained was a void, a mystery that haunted Brookhaven for years. Thomas Blake was not a man built for mystery. He was ordinary in the best way. He was a creature of habit. Every morning, his lunch bag contained the same meal: a ham sandwich, one apple, and black coffee poured into a scratched silver thermos. His life revolved around the clock, the factory sirens, and the laughter of his children when he returned home. Dependable, predictable, the kind of man whose absence felt like a hole punched in the world. Laura felt the weight of that absence first. She went to the police station daily, clutching photographs, demanding updates. But Detective Miller, the lead investigator, brushed her aside. "There's no sign of foul play," he said flatly. "Maybe he just walked away." Those words shattered her. She knew her husband. He would never abandon his children, never disappear into the night without a word. The idea that the man she loved, the man she trusted with everything, had simply walked away, it was worse than cruel. It was lazy. Coworkers gave another version. Gary, who worked the line with Tom, remembered him acting off in the weeks before. He was distracted, Gary recalled, like something was eating at him. He wasn't the same Tom. And then there was Elena Martinez, a rookie officer then, fresh out of training. She had no rank, no voice in the room. But she read the reports closely, and something didn't sit right. Leads closed too quickly. Witnesses dismissed without follow-up. Martinez couldn't prove it, but she felt it. The investigation wasn't just sloppy. It was stifled. The search began with urgency. Dogs picked up Tom's scent near the factory lot, trailing it a short distance into the rain-slick streets. And then, as if the storm itself had wiped him away, it ended. No trace. Detectives scoured the nearby woods, dragged rivers, checked bus stations and airports. Nothing. It was as though the man had been erased. And when the silence grew too long, Brookhaven filled it with whispers. In the diners, the church halls, and the corners of the mill, the rumors grew teeth. Some said Tom had debts, gambling debts with men you didn't cross. Others swore he had a mistress in another town, that he left willingly, leaving Laura to play the grieving wife. The gossip cut Laura deeper than the absence itself. "People forget he was a person," she told a reporter. "Not a story, not a rumor, but in small towns, gossip becomes truth faster than facts." And Brookhaven was already moving on. Laura begged investigators to consider the factory. Tom had grown restless before he vanished. He told her in hushed tones that the company was hiding something. "They're dumping things they shouldn't," he said one night, voice low. "If people knew what was in the ground, they'd shut this place down." Laura took that to Detective Miller. She pleaded with him to investigate, to look at the records, the waste shipments, the men in charge. But Miller waved her off. "Conspiracy theories won't bring him back," he muttered. And just like that, the file was shelved. Brookhaven carried on. The mill kept running. Machines groaned. Smoke rose. Wages were paid. The factory didn't miss a beat. For them, Tom Blake was just another name that faded into silence. The community, too, split in its loyalty. Some pitted Laura, bringing meals and soft words. Others avoided her, convinced she was clinging to denial. And in her isolation, she grew fierce. He didn't leave us, she told anyone who would listen. Something happened to him, and someone knows what it was. The media had once called it the Brookhaven mystery, but headlines are fleeting. Within weeks, new scandals pushed Tom's name to the back pages. And when the anniversary of his disappearance came, there was no coverage, just a family still waiting for answers. 8 years passed. 8 years of birthdays missed, of empty chairs at the dinner table, of Laura pressing old photos to her chest. And then, everything changed. It was a summer afternoon when a group of teenagers wandered into the abandoned quarry outside town. They carried flashlights and mischief, exploring rusted equipment and half-flooded pits. And then one of them spotted it. A metal barrel, rusted and half buried in mud. Its lid broken, its edges eaten away by time. Inside were scraps of fabric blackened by rot, and tucked between them, a leather wallet swollen with water. The teenagers called police, and when Laura arrived at the station hours later, she was handed the object that nearly brought her to her knees. Inside that wallet was a faded ID card. The name read, Thomas Blake. The quarry was only 5 miles from the factory, a place Tom had mentioned before, a place he feared. For Laura, the discovery wasn't closure. It was proof. He didn't leave us, she whispered, clutching the ID to her chest. Something terrible happened. The police reopened the case, though reluctantly. Detective Miller's tone was defensive. It could have been planted, he argued. But the evidence told another story. Old time cards revealed something chilling. Tom's supervisor, Victor Hale, had clocked out just 2 minutes before Tom vanished. Witnesses remembered seeing his truck near the quarry that night. And Victor's reputation was no secret. He had threatened workers before, pressured them to cut corners, silenced complaints with his fists. Officer Martinez, now older, still low in rank, kept quiet but observant. She saw the cracks forming in the narrative Miller pushed. And she knew this case wasn't about incompetence. It was about control. Something darker was buried in Brookhaven, and the quarry had just begun to spit it out. The town felt a shift. For the first time in years, Brookhaven buzzed with speculation. People whispered in church pews, at grocery lines, on factory floors. Had Tom been silenced because he knew too much? Had the quarry, once a dumping ground for waste, doubled as a dumping ground for men who asked too many questions? In Brookhaven, people began to wonder, how many truths lie buried beneath the ground we walk on? For Laura, the ID was not the end. It was a doorway. She demanded more answers. She demanded the quarry be searched fully. And when forensic teams began to dig, the truth emerged. It wasn't just a wallet. It wasn't just an ID. Beneath the soil, half-burned, fractured, and hidden for years, lay a human bone. The res. The results stunned investigators. It belonged to Thomas, but not only to him. The DNA revealed fragments from more than one victim. The quarry wasn't just a dumping ground for waste. It was a graveyard. And Brookhaven's darkest secrets were only beginning to surface. To be continued. This was Trace Crime Files. Subscribe for more stories where truth is stranger than fiction, and justice is never as simple as it seems.